the first murder in human history. In the previous episode of the Stories of the Prophets, we spoke about the disobedience of Adam and Hawa and their descent to earth. And in this episode, we continue with what happened after that, as we present to you the story of Qabil and Habil, and the first murder in human history, and the death of the prophet of Allah, Adam, peace be upon him. When Adam, peace be upon him, and his wife Hawa were brought down from paradise to earth, he had to endure the terrible struggle that filled the earth. One conflict would not end before another began. He had to exert all his effort to eat and drink. Then came another struggle with the beasts and animals that filled the earth and represented a great danger to him, his wife, and his children. Let us not forget the source of evil that was the cause of the descent of Adam and Hawa from paradise, Iblis, whom Allah cursed. He was the one who whispered to Adam, his wife, and his descendants to make them enter the fire with him on the day of resurrection. Thus, struggle surrounded Adam, peace be upon him, from every side. But Allah protected him through his obedience and closeness to him, the Almighty. When Adam and his wife Hawa, peace be upon them, settled on earth, married life began to take shape. There had to be offspring to populate the earth, and to continue the progeny of Adam until the day of resurrection. Hawa began to conceive and give birth to many children for Adam. She used to give birth in each pregnancy to a boy and a girl. The children of Adam grew up and married, and the earth was filled with his offspring. He would always call them to Allah, urging them to obey him and warning them against disobedience. One day, Hawa gave birth to a boy and a girl, and later she gave birth to another boy and a girl. Adam, peace be upon him, named one of them Qabil, and the other Habil. In the law of Adam, peace be upon him, it was not permissible for a son to marry the sister who was born with him in the same womb. But it was permissible for him to marry a sister born before or after him, as long as she was not born in the same womb. One day, Habil wanted to marry the sister of Qabil, and she was more beautiful than his own twin sister. Adam, peace be upon him, approved, but Qabil strongly refused and wanted to marry his own twin because she was more beautiful than Habil's twin. Iblis planted envy and jealousy in the heart of Qabil against his brother Habil. So Adam, peace be upon him, commanded them to present an offering to Allah. Whoever's offering Allah accepted would marry Qabil's sister. Qabil went to his crops and brought some of the worst and most inferior produce and presented it as an offering to Allah. As for Habil, he quickly went to his flock and chose a fat ram from among the best of his livestock and presented it as an offering to Allah Almighty. Both of them stood waiting in longing and anticipation. Then a fire descended from the sky and consumed the ram, but did not consume Qabil's offering. Allah had accepted Habil's offering. Qabil was filled with intense anger because Allah accepted Habil's offering and did not accept his. His heart was filled with envy and jealousy, and he decided in a moment of satanic impulse to kill his brother Habil. Habil was strong and able to defend himself, even capable of killing Qabil. But he feared Allah and knew for certain that if he killed his brother, Allah would be very displeased with him. Allah said in the Quran, "And recite to them the story of Adam's two sons in truth, when they both offered a sacrifice, and it was accepted from one of them, but not accepted from the other. He said, 'I will surely kill you.' The other said, 'Indeed, Allah only accepts from the righteous. If you stretch out your hand to kill me, I will not stretch out my hand to kill you. Indeed, I fear Allah, Lord of the worlds. Habil wanted to warn his brother that the punishment for killing his brother was the fire. He said, "I want you to bear my sin and your sin, so you will be among the companions of the fire, and that is the recompense of the wrongdoers." These words prove that Adam, peace be upon him, used to call his children to Allah, teaching them what was lawful and unlawful, and making them aware of paradise, hell, reward and accountability, warning them against injustice, for indeed injustice is darkness on the day of resurrection. It was mentioned by scholars that Adam, peace be upon him, directly oversaw their offerings and their acceptance without any intermediary. Qabil said to Adam, "It was accepted from him only because you prayed for him and not for me." He threatened his brother secretly. One night, when Habil was delayed with his flock, Adam sent Qabil to look for him. When Qabil found him, he said, "It was accepted from you and not from me." Habil replied, "Indeed, Allah only accepts from the righteous." Qabil grew angry and struck him with an iron tool he carried, killing him. Some said he killed him with a rock thrown on his head while he slept. Others said he strangled him violently, biting him as wild beasts do, until he died. And Allah knows best. When Qabil killed his brother Habil, he sat in front of him helpless, not knowing what to do, nor what to say to his father, Adam, peace be upon him. This was the first murder committed on earth, and no one knew anything about burying the dead, as this was the first death on earth. Qabil carried Habil's body and wandered the earth, not knowing where to go. Suddenly feeling tired, he sat to rest. While sitting, Allah sent two crows that fought, until one killed the other. Then the killer crow dug a large hole in the ground, placed the dead crow inside it, and covered it with soil. Qabil then learned how to bury his brother Habil. At that moment, he was deeply regretful for killing him. He dug a hole in the ground, buried his brother Habil, and wept a little out of grief. He said, "Woe to me! Am I unable to be like this crow and hide the disgrace of my brother?" Thus he became one of the regretful. Adam, peace be upon him, continued to work and strive on earth, teaching his children and grandchildren, calling them to Allah, the Almighty. When his death approached, he longed for the fruits of paradise. This longing reflected his deep love for paradise and his yearning to return to it. How could he not long for it, when he had lived there, seen its blessings, and enjoyed them for a time? Perhaps when he longed for its fruits, he sensed that his end was near. Some narrations indicate that he knew the number of his years and was counting them, realizing that his time was almost finished and his departure to the hereafter was near. Without doubt, Adam knew that his children could not fulfill his wish of bringing him fruits from paradise, and they knew this too. But their filial devotion made them go searching for what he desired, never straying far from their father's side. Along the way, they met a group of angels appearing in the form of men, carrying with them everything needed for preparing and burying the dead, representing what Muslims do today when one of them dies. They carried shrouds, perfumes, axes, shovels, and tools necessary for digging the grave. When Adam's children told them their purpose and their father's request, the angels told them to return, for their father's time had ended. It is narrated that Adam fell ill for 11 days. He gave his will to his son Sheth and ordered him to conceal his knowledge from Qabil and his offspring, for Qabil killed Habil out of envy when Adam gave him knowledge. Seth and his descendants kept the knowledge, while Qabil and his descendants had no beneficial knowledge. Abu Hurairah narrated from the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, that he said, Allah said to Adam when he created him, "Go to those angels and greet them." So he went and greeted them, saying, "Peace be upon you." They replied, "And upon you be peace and the mercy of Allah." He returned to his Lord, and Allah said, "This is your greeting and the greeting of your descendants among them." Then Allah grasped 2 handfuls and said, "Choose, Adam." He said, "I have chosen the right hand of my Lord, and both hands of my Lord are right and blessed." Allah opened it for him, and there was the image of Adam and his descendants, with the lifespan of each man written beside him. Adam saw among them men with light over them, and one of the brightest was written with a lifespan of 40 years. He said, "O Lord, who is this man?" Allah said, "This is David, one of the prophets I will send to my servants." Adam said, "O Lord, increase his lifespan." Allah said, "That is what I have decreed for him." Adam said, "O Lord, take 60 years from my life and add them to his." So Adam's lifespan was written as 1,000 years. When he descended to earth, he began counting his years. When the angel of death came to take his soul, Adam said, "You are early, O angel of death. There are 60 years remaining of my life." The angel of death replied, "Nothing remains. You gave them to your son, David." Thus Adam lived 960 years. It was narrated that when Adam's death approached, Allah sent his shroud and burial perfume from paradise. When Hawa saw the angels, she tried to go before them, but Adam said, "Leave me with the messengers of my Lord. What has afflicted me is because of you." Then when he died, they washed him with water and lotus leaves, shrouded him in odd-numbered garments, laid him in a grave, and buried him. Then they said, "This is the way for the children of Adam after him." After his soul was taken, they undertook the task of preparing and burying him, while his children looked on. They washed him, shrouded him, dug a grave for him, prayed over him, and placed him in the grave in the Islamic manner. Then they said to his children, teaching them, "O children of Adam, this is your tradition which Allah has chosen for you regarding your dead. This way is the prescribed law for all the messengers and for all the believers on earth throughout the ages and times. Any method that contradicts it is contrary to the guidance of Allah. And whoever knows the guidance of the Muslims concerning their dead, which their messenger Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, taught them, will find it in full agreement with what the angels did for Adam, peace be upon him. Yet many people throughout history deviated from this guidance. Some burn their dead. Some build grand monuments such as the pyramids and bury them there after placing food, drink, milk, and jewels with them. Some place them in stone or wooden coffins. All of this costs enormous expenses, misplaces human effort, and before and after all, it opposes the guidance which Allah Almighty has prescribed for the dead among the children of Adam. When Adam, peace be upon him, passed away, his son Seth, peace be upon him, took on the responsibilities of calling to the faith after him, and he was a blessed prophet. Days and years passed, and many events followed, until Allah, the Exalted, sent his prophet Idris, peace be upon him. What occurred in his time is what we shall know in the next story, if Allah wills. And Allah, blessed and exalted, knows best. May Allah's peace, blessings, and mercy be upon our Master Muhammad, and upon his family and companions. May you remain in Allah's protection and safety.